Hey, what's up everybody, Retro Gaming Guy here. Today in this video we're going to unbox and test out this RetroBat 2TB external hard drive that advertises over 100,000 retro video games that are fully plug and play, ready to be enjoyed. So it looks pretty amazing, but we got to test it out and see if it actually lives up to the hype. Let's dive into it. Alright guys, we got this 2.5-inch hard drive enclosure. So we're going to open this up, see what it looks like inside, but it should be loaded full of games. Not really sure what to expect here, but looks to be laid out really nicely. And what I love about this is the fact that all we have to do is actually slide this part out and we can connect it via USB connection just by simply plugging this into our PC. Or if we wanted to, we could actually take this all apart and actually fully remove the SSD within here and internally connect that to our PC. So just depends what you want to do. I think the fact that it is in this external enclosure does make sense, and it makes it so much easier to use that way. All right, so as we jump into this hard drive, this is a 2TB hard drive. We have 100,346 games jam-packed in here. So that's a massive collection, especially considering that it's 2TB, not 4TB or anything like that. 100,000 is massive. So first collection is going to be your all games list. That's your master list. If we jump in here, we can kind of get a feel for how everything's going to be laid out with this particular theme. And you can switch themes if you want to. This is the stock theme. You're going to have a text list on the right-hand side. Each title is going to give you box art, screenshot, description of the title, and some information as to when it was released, the genre of the title, who published it, who developed it, all that good stuff. So every single collection is going to be laid out very similar to this, but this again is the master collection list. So this has every single title in it. Just switched over to arcade by mistake, but every single title in here in alphabetical order. If you want to jump to, say, a title that starts with the letter, let's say G, we just go over here to the jump to letter in our options, which I just hit select to open that up. We go over to G, go ahead and confirm it with your A button, and it brings you right into all the G titles. So if you're looking for something that you're not sure what collection it might be under, very easy to go in and search for it that way. So I'm going to back out. We're going to jump through each of these collections. I'm going to try to keep it moving as quickly as possible because this is massive. So I don't want to spend too much time diving into every single collection. But here we have arcade. This is going to be your main collection. Inside here, we have 39,168 games. So we'll jump in here and you can take a look at how everything's laid out. Now, one thing I want to make note of, there are a lot of duplicates in each of these collections. So here you can see, for example, 99, The Last War. There's about 4 or 5 of those. There's a lot of duplicates as you scroll down. So I will say that the game count can be slightly deceiving, or not so much deceiving as much as there's just duplicates for each one. And sometimes that's because there's different versions. Sometimes they're exactly the same game though, with no difference at all. So just worth mentioning, don't get too hung up on the actual game count because you may find there's just a lot of duplicates in here, so it does kind of inflate that. Just going to be perfectly honest about that. Now, next collection down is favorites. There's going to be 0 games in here. That's going to be a collection that you want to put together yourself, so you can add all your favorite titles in there so you can easily access them later on. Right here we have a light guns collection, which is awesome. It's got this really cool T2 theme to it. Love the way that looks. 450 games in there. Never played. That's going to pretty much cover every single game that you've never jumped into on here. So it's kind of a cool way to explore titles that maybe you're overlooking. Cool design on here as well. I like the Luigi's Mansion theme there. Here we have last played, so it's going to count up to 50 games that you've played in the past. So if you were just in here playing Mario Kart 64, for example, and you shut it down for the day and you come back tomorrow, that is going to be up here as your last played game. Here we have retro achievements. I haven't done a whole lot with that, but I know a lot of people are into it. Here we have vertical arcade. Inside here we have 2024 titles, and you can see the layout inside here. It's very much the same as what I showed you before. That's why I'm not diving into each of these collections. I just kind of want to give you guys the count. So inside of this one, we have Alpha. Inside here is just 6 games. Atari, 2 games. Capcom, 31 games. Cinematronics Incorporated, we have 4 games in here. Capcom 1 and 2. 1 has 39 games, 2 has 41 games. We have a Data East collection, 3 games there. I'm sure there's more for Data East. I'm sure you could add more to that if you wanted to. That's just the way they have it laid out. IREM, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. 5 games. Jellicoe, 1 game. Konami, 7 games. And you can actually change this whole layout here to not include all of these specific collections like this, because it does get to be a lot to kind of have to scroll through. So you can customize this, you can hide certain things. Namco, 3 games. I'm sure there's more than just 3 Namco games in total on here. So these are some of the collections that I would personally remove, just because, again, it's just a lot to scroll through. In fact, I'm not going to name off each of these and the counts, but you could see inside this collection 218 games. Amstrad CPC, 1,954 games. The GX 4000, inside here we have 61 games. Apple II, 1558. FB Neo, 100. This is MAME 2003 Plus, so 38,994 games in here. A lot of the same titles as what we saw before, though, so keep that in mind. Atari 2600, 2,216 games. And I'll just kind of scroll through these again. I don't want to make this a 2-hour video because I'm counting every single collection, but I'm going to kind of just scroll through here so you guys can see exactly what this offers. And we see Capcom 1, 2 again, ColecoVision, Commodore 64, Amiga 500, all the MSX collections. We have Windows here, just 2 games for Windows. TurboGrafx 16, and inside Windows, what do we have? It shows us Halo on there, which is kind of strange because Halo's not actually in there, but, is what it is there. 413 games for TurboGrafx 16. Just a massive amount of game collections and games here. And here we have NES, 4,670 titles for NES. So you're going to find a lot of duplicates here as well, because look, 10-Yard Fight, we've got 4 of those. I mean, they didn't have this many titles for NES in general, so you're going to have a lot of duplicates in here. Family Computer Disk System, 229. Game Boy, 1394. Super Nintendo, 3,702. And if we go in here, again, you're going to see some duplicates, different versions, different ROM types, etc. Super Famicom, 39 games. Virtual Boy, 31 games. N64, 517 games. And if we jump in here, again, you're going to see a couple things here that have duplicates as well. So, looks like a great collection of games, though. So we're going to test this out too, but I want to just kind of scroll through all the collections first. Game Boy Color, 1485. Here is the N64 disc drive. This has 11 games, so you can see those games here, but a lot of duplicates in here as well. Continuing on, we have Nintendo GameCube with 36 titles. We have Game Boy Advance here with 2,632. Pokemon Mini, Nintendo DS, 6,736 for DS. Nintendo Wii, 20 games. 3DS, 465 games. Continuing on, we've got some homebrew stuff and ports. Doom games, Thomas Wave, all the Sega collections you could ever imagine in here. Genesis, Master System, Game Gear, Sega CD, Genesis 32X, Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn has 304 games, which is a pretty massive collection for Saturn games. Let's take a look. I'm not seeing a ton of duplicates here, a couple duplicates here and there, but for the most part, it does seem to be a lot of singles, which is good. So back out, we have Dreamcast here. Inside Dreamcast, 327 games. Pretty good size collection for Dreamcast. Those games are pretty good size. Naomi from Sega, 112 games. Sharp 68,000, Sinclair. Neo Geo down here, Neo Geo Pocket, Pocket Color. And now for PlayStation, we have PlayStation Original, 1469. We have PS2, 22 games for PS2. PSP here with 292 games. And then we have some more additional collections here, 2-player games, 4-player games, which are pretty cool to jump in there if you're playing with that many players. So that is the entire setup here. Now it's time to jump into some games.
Final set, Mario to serve. 15 love. 30 love. 40 love.
Alright guys, I have to say this drive is extremely high quality, really well put together. Love the fact that we can actually plug it in via USB connection, fire it up on Windows, or we can install it internally if we just take it out of the external case. Whatever you want to do, the end result is going to be 100% the same. So I use the USB connection. I'm used to installing everything internally inside my gaming PC. That's what I've just always been accustomed to doing. Love the fact that we can just literally plug it in through the USB connection. I think we all have an abundance of USB connections, so it's very easy to do that. Very easy to just have it recognized as soon as you make the connection on Windows. Fire it up. There's actually a little application in there that'll actually go through and find whatever you need on your PC in terms of software, plugins, all that. And if you're missing anything, it's going to automatically put those on your PC for you. So I love how easy it is. It took me all of, I think, about 2 minutes to set everything up and launch RetroBat. So RetroBat ran perfectly. Of course, the performance is going to depend on what PC you're using everything on. So I'm using an HP Pavilion gaming PC. I will provide a link to that PC in the description just so you can see what the specs are like on that. I get a lot of questions from people asking me what PC you're using, what are the specs on there? And while that is good information, it doesn't always translate between different brands. Some things perform differently. So even if you have specs that you would think would line up a certain way, it can always be a little bit hit or miss. So I will provide a link to my PC just so you can get a better understanding of what I'm using here. But everything ran perfectly. Now, I've put together a lot of builds very similar to this one here, so I am a little bit picky about certain things. However, very happy with the layout on here, the way everything is put together. The only, not necessarily negative thing, but thing that I think people should be aware of is the game count. There are over 100,000 games on here. That is accurate. However, there's a lot of duplicates. If we look at certain titles that we enjoy though, there's always going to be duplicates. However, I do find that there are much more duplicates here than we typically see on builds like this. So let's take Area 51 for example. This is one of my favorite light gun games. I grew up playing this game in the arcade. Love this game. There's 3 versions out there that we typically will see. We'll see the MAME classic arcade version, we'll see the Sega Saturn version, and we'll see the PS1 version. So whenever I put together builds like this, I would have 3 of this title because there's people out there that enjoy one over the other. And there's 3 different ones out there. Yes, it's the same game, but it does differ ever so slightly. Saturn versus PS1 versus MAME Classic Arcade. In this case, I would say that we had about 8 or 9 of these titles. Mostly within the Classic Arcade MAME collection, there was just a lot of them. I know there's different versions, different ROM types and all of that. However, at the end of the day, it does add to why we have over 100,000 titles on here. You know, if we take away a lot of the duplicates, I think that we would see the number shrink to about half that size. You know, is that a deal breaker? No. Even if we had, I think 50,000 is probably being a little conservative, but say that the 100,000 games on here was really 50,000 when you account for so many duplicates. It's still a really impressive collection, and it's still really just got a ton of great games on here. So I don't want that to diminish the impact of this particular setup. It's really awesome. I highly recommend it. And the price point at just over $100 at the time of this video seems to be really on point for what you get. You definitely get some bang for your buck here, and you don't have to scramble around finding ROMs and putting together your own build. Most of us want to play games. We don't want to do all the legwork, finding ROMs and setting everything up. It's a time-consuming process. Take my word for it. I've put together probably 10 of these different types of builds, and they just take a massive amount of time. So really high quality here. We jumped into all of the advanced games on here. I didn't worry too much about, you know, Nintendo Entertainment System and stuff like that. All that stuff works perfectly. I wanted to test out the more demanding collections. So N64, Dreamcast, Gamecube, PS2, all of those are much more demanding, and the performance here was top notch. You're going to see bezels. I love the fact that the bezels actually connect directly to the title that we're jumping into. So for Mario Tennis or Double Dash, we were seeing graphics on the bezels that tied directly to that game. Same thing with the wrestling games I jumped into. They were tied directly to that title. So it wasn't just one generic sort of bezel that went for the entire collection. It was tied directly to the individual titles, which I think is a nice touch. I wish I did that actually on some of my older PC builds. I didn't. I had just a blanket one. And oftentimes what I'll do anyways though is boost it to fill the whole screen so it's not on that original 4:3 aspect ratio, but there are titles and game collections where I do like that 4:3 aspect ratio. The reason I left the bezels on here in the video is because I wanted to just show you guys again how everything is turnkey, plug and play. When you get this, this is what you experience. I didn't want to soup anything up or make any customizations. I did take the bezels off of Mario Kart 64 though. I do want to mention that. Only reason I did that was because I was just fiddling around with the different settings and didn't even realize it until I already started hitting record. So that is the only thing that I tweaked, but I only just removed the graphics on the bezels. That's all I did on that one. So performance here, great. That depends, of course, on the PC you choose to use this on, but everything here is really absolutely amazing. High quality, really a reliable hard drive. There's a lot of cheap crap out there, in all honesty. For the amount that you're paying here, you're getting really good quality, really great reliability here, and awesome game collections. So if you're somebody that wants to get your PC gaming experience up and running with some retro games, this is definitely a great route to take. And at that just around $100 price point, I think it's more than fair. And if anything, you're gonna get some bang for your buck because you get tons and tons and tons of awesome titles here. So let me know what you guys thought of this video, the layout, everything about this. If you're a fan of RetroBat, let me know, but I'll put some information in the description so you can get, additional information on this particular drive. I'll also put a link right up here at the top of your screen. Just click that link. You can jump over to Amazon, see exactly what they're offering with this currently, as prices do tend to go up and down. But hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching the video today. Really appreciate the support. Smash the thumbs up if you did enjoy the content today, and be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop for all future videos here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. Thanks for your time. I'll see you in the next video.